Hello, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Before I go any further, you could please subscribe down below. So something Rob, I, and Moment have been talking about. Rob has been having people DM him, asking him questions on stuff he wants to see covered, basically anyone in IG Lives between Rob and I or other moderators or Rob himself, and basically other videos covered by different people. One of the cool things about our YouTube channel, as I always say, is there's different perspectives from different people and different fears. So you can kind of pick and choose on what works for you, and it all comes down to unconditional self-life and other acceptance, moving with uncertainty, facing your fears. That's all exposures are, is facing your fears. Now, today I want to talk about the illusion of safety. Now, the illusion of safety is something that in our society is a prevalent, extremely prevalent problem for many people. A lot of people don't do things based off of fear. I mean anything. I mean traveling, going on new dates. I mean going to new cities, trying new foods, all because of basically the illusion of safety. They want to say safe. Now we know at the chronic OCD level, this can really latch and really keep people stuck. But getting outside your comfort zone and doing things that you don't always want to do is one of the best ways to work on OCD recovery. Something that has worked really well for me, and I am a little bit different because I don't take safety, I would say, as seriously as some other people. Safety is definitely important, but there's a lot of things I do in my life that, a lot of people wouldn't do. I like fast cars. I like mountain climbing and bouldering, which is where you're climbing rocks really high in the air. If I could, I would free climb. I mean, it's not that I can't do it. I just have never tried it. So, and I do know that I don't always think about the consequences of safety, which can be in its way its own issue. But what happens is when we have chronic OCD, we latch on to safety because we believe in this mystical certainty that society and our beliefs have basically put it out to be. Excuse me. As Voltaire says, certainty is absurd. And safety, as it makes you feel safe, obviously in the word, and comfort is a huge illusion for many people. We see this all the time. We see it in magazines. We see it in bed commercials, in car commercials, and all this stuff. We see it in comfort foods, and just all around just safe. We want to feel safe, and we want to have boundaries and all these things. And on the topic of boundaries, it's not that boundaries aren't inherently bad, but they're also not inherently good, because in the common way that boundaries are used in our modern day society, a lot of people will use them to avoid. So they'll cut things off. And this is why safety can be an illusion. They'll develop safety habits and all sorts of different stuff. Now, this can really latch on to harm OCD, whether you're thinking about the safety of yourself or say the safety of your children, you're hiding knives, you're doing all these other avoidance behaviors for the illusion of safety. Now, we know in order to get over these particular fears, you will have to actually look at the unconditional self-life and other acceptance aspect of it, but you will also need to go towards those certain exposures. And that's not always easy to do, but that's basically the way out of chronic OCD. So safety, in its basest sense, like I said, is an illusion. And it's really hard to see that. So let's use basically safety in the sense of, say, driving, right? Hit and run OCD, as Rob talks about. You believe that if you stay home, you'll just be safe. You'll keep other people safe. But the reality is, even if you didn't have harm OCD, you don't know what's going to happen. A light could go out on the road. There could be some sort of electrical issue and you run through and you hit someone and you end someone's life. This is really, really hard for people to hear. But these types of triggers and these types of exposures are absolutely necessary for getting over these types of fears. For myself, per se, there wasn't a lot of safety issues, as I mentioned, that were problematic. But there definitely were times where I believed that, I thought I would be more safe at the house. And this really cut my life in a lot of different ways. I stopped experiencing certain things. I stopped going places. I stayed in my room all day. I had this illusion of safety. And all it did was at OCD, this is your life, okay? This is the vastness of life, this small thing I have right here. OCD will bring that in smaller and smaller and smaller until it's this big, until it's that big, because it wants to keep you safe. Whether it's it doesn't matter what's going on at the neurological level. I see a lot of people talking about the prefrontal cortex and neuroplasticity. It doesn't matter. OCD wants to keep you safe. And basically, you have to look at what the core fear is, why you're scared of that, going about your exposures, and looking at unconditional self-life and other acceptance. This isn't easy for a lot of people to do. It wasn't easy for myself, but the safety illusion really holds people back. And we're not just talking about OCD sufferers here. We're not. We're talking about people. I have family members, I have friends that won't do things. They're always worried about safety. They're always worrying about driving below the speed limit or staying in the right lane or making sure you have certain things at dinner. It almost seems like OCD type tendencies, which would be not a surprise since my dad had basically almost chronic OCD. He was a hoarder, compulsive spender, and my mother shows traits of that as well. So it's definitely something that we all see in our genetics. So in the chronic OCD level, I had serious chronic OCD in the genetic level in my dad's side. There's like 6 of us that have chronic OCD. It's crazy. And on my mom's side, I could see the tendencies that kind of go over into being a hypochondriac. So for me, it was the perfect storm. But again, none of that matters. All that matters is the belief I hold right now. So back to the issue of safety. There's a lot of different, types of fears where this goes in. And like I said, you can have hit and run OCD, harm OCD, hiding knives, the illusion of safety, keeping yourself safe. Say POCD, you don't want to go past the school because you think you might do something to a child. Keeping yourself safe, staying in your house, not walking by, the illusion of safety. The thing about safety is this. Safety is an illusion like certainty. You could take precautions, you could do certain things during COVID-19, washing your hands, wearing a mask, keeping your distance if you live in a place where there's a high spike and something like that. But what COVID-19 has done, for this example, has showed people how bad we are with uncertainty. Because you could take all the precautions that you want and still contract the disease and still die. This is very hard for people to hear, but it is the truth about life. You don't think about driving down the road every single day. I drive in roads on Colorado where there's no median in the middle. People are going 85 and 85 miles an hour. So 120 or 130 kilometers an hour. If you're not in America, the only people that use miles an hour. Think about that. If you get hit 120 kilometers, your cars are exploding. You're dead on impact. It's probably the last second you're like, oh, boom, dead. So it all comes down to this illusion of certainty and the illusion of safety. So certainty and safety kind of overlap in a lot of different ways. So this is basically the basis of what I wanted to say and basically the summary. Take the precautions in life that you see are necessary. But it comes down to a balance. But I also have to look at, are you being so overly safety where it's turning into avoidance behaviors? Everything we talked about, the POCD example, the hit and run example, the harm OCD example. This can go into any type of fear. You have an illusion of safety, which is also an illusion of certainty in a lot of ways, and it keeps your life smaller and smaller. Get uncomfortable, go out there, do the things you don't want to do. Don't be crazy. Don't go on a motorcycle and go 200 miles an hour on the highway. You know what I'm saying. You could be safe to a balanced degree. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.